Hey, hello everybody. Dan John here, and this is the DanJohnUniversity.com podcast, and this is number 55, which is hard to believe, so thanks for listening. Let's get started. We have a question from June. I'm 63 years old, 188 pounds, and skinny fat. For those who don't know, skinny fat, it's a condition where the person might look really, really good in clothes, but when you see them on the beach, there's not a lot of, the word we used to use is tone. My friend Josh Hillis does a really good job explaining that on his blog. I'm interested in training that includes strength work, mobility, and plyometrics. Would this be a good approach, and if so, how would you recommend finding such a program? Well, what you're basically describing is a program that I would have for about a 19 to 34-year-old elite athlete. You're 63. This idea of doing plyometrics, great word. We all love them. Thanks to Fred Wilt for coming up with the phrase, term. If you read the research, and it's a good idea to do that sometimes, you'll find that the original people who studied plyos recommended that until you have a double body weight squat, you're not going to get any benefit out of them. And so for you'd have to be putting, in the neighborhood of 360 or so in the back squat before you get anything out of them. You have here strength work. There's real value in strength work. As an adult, mobility work, I think there's real value. The plyometrics is the one. I'd like to know why you put that in there, because it just seems to leap right off the page at me. Certainly, I'm a big believer in, for an adult, doing things like high knee running, what we call butt kickers, that weird little drill where as you run, you hit your butt with your heels, stadium steps, running up hills, jumping up on a box and then stepping back down. But until you get your hands on the skinny fat thing, I just think you're putting your joints, you make one mistake and you're going to get hurt on these. For your basics at your age, I don't know why you just don't go to Dan John University and just pump into the workout generator. To me, what you're asking for is just an entirely basic program. The first question I would ask you, no matter what, is what equipment do you have? What do you know how to do? How many days a week do you want to train? How long? And that literally is the beginner program you want is what the workout generator provides. Someone got on me online for selling my site too much. And I'm like, well, it's because I put the site together because of this kind of question. So personally, I think you should just do a very basic program: push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded carry, appropriate reps, appropriate sets, some variation, some learn how to do different movements over time. And you're going to make great progress very quickly on this. So I wouldn't worry too much. So Dan John University, answer the questions on the workout generator and get started, okay? Thank you. We have a question from Jason. My 14-year-old daughter and I recently completed the 10,000 swing challenge, and she did amazingly well and never missed a rep. That's pretty good, 14-year-old. Yeah, that's good. She is now looking at a park bench program. She has about 1 year of solid training where she's exposed to both a powerlifting program and Olympic lifting. Do you think the Southwood program is suitable, or do you have any recommendations for a long-term sustainable program that will keep her interest? If you do go online and type in Southwood program, my name, you'll get to the original T-Nation article. The program is Southwood now, the way I do it now, is really based for someone like your daughter. What's going to happen is after just a few weeks of the 8-6-4 on the power clean, military front squat, and bench press, you begin to slide over to 5 sets of 5 and then an occasional 5-3-2 day. About once every 2 weeks is how we did it at the school. It's a great program. It combines the power lifts and the Olympic lifts. It's repeatable, it's doable, it's time tested, which I think is important. I think it'd be a good program. That's a really simple question, really simple answer. I'd like to really muddle it up with a lot more explanation. But get the article, look at it. We did add the deadlift to that program when we moved to the 5 sets of 5. And one thing I do find, and your daughter being 14, which is generally, 8th, 9th grade, it's a good time for her to learn how to deadlift. She's going to learn the tension of lifting, which was one of the most insightful things of my career when my daughter was pulling, maybe it was a 300-pound deadlift or something like that. And when Kelly dropped the bar, she started to cry. And that's when I first really got a sense of what the tension and arousal thing meant in real life, not just in the athletic field. So, hey, good luck to you, and be very proud of her. Thank you. Okay, we have a question from Tim, but this is actually kind of exciting, folks. This is not just a question, but it's a feedback, a follow-up, and I'm very excited about this one. I sent you an email before telling you I started my journey in April, not very long ago, weighing 355 pounds, around 155 kilos, from fear of getting COVID. I wanted to share with you some updates. I took your advice and made doctor's appointments and a dentist appointment. I already see an eye doctor because I wear glasses. My blood work looks great according to the doctor. Well, good for you. Cholesterol is in a normal range and my blood pressure is fantastic according to him. I had 2 cavities filled as well. Let's see. It's always something. I also took your nutritional advice and I eat veggies with every meal and try to get a wide variety, but I don't think I even know 18 like you've gotten in on some days. One of the things I do, real simple, Tim, we have a whole bunch of different vegetable soups I buy at the store. One brand is a little expensive, but by itself there's 18 vegetables. When I go to the Landmark Grill over here for breakfast, I just always have them put every vegetable on top of my meals. So I get if I get a cheese omelet, on top of it is a layer of 14 or so vegetables from the restaurant. So I just keep looking for ways to do it. I'm 12 pounds away from my first goal of getting under 300 pounds. Statistically, getting under 300 pounds is really important. There's nothing magic about weighing 299 versus 300, but statistically, it's a jump in your mortality. I've been walking 4 to 5 miles a day. That is excellent. And using kettlebells 5 days a week. I'm able to get around much better playing with my son now. I've added to my collection and now own a pair of 16, 24, 28 kilo kettlebells. Thank you for your help and for the wise advice. I love your podcast and your site. I am now a regular poster on the Dan John University forums. You helped save my life. Well, thank you, Tim. P.S. I absolutely love the half kneeling press and loaded carries. Now, half kneeling is my favorite exercise now. If you don't mind, gentle listeners and Tim, I do want to add one thing for you. So you're walking 4 to 5 miles a day, and I think that is, can't think of a better thing for you to do. But when you weigh 355, you got a lot more out of walking 5 miles than you will at 300, than you will at 260, than you will at 250. One idea I'd like you to start thinking about is as your weight continues to notch down, I'd like you to start considering adding weight, like in a backpack, or I have the Perform Better ruck vest, is to start to add, and this will sound weird, but when you weighed 355 to say 320, just walking was a big workout. But now that you're 320, 310, you're not going to get the benefits because you're not carrying around so much load. So my thought is maybe you should start off with just something as simple as maybe 5 or 10 pounds. And then as you continue to lose weight for your walks, maybe slide up to 6 pounds, 8 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20. I wouldn't suggest you I would never suggest getting over 35 pounds, but you could probably slide up to 20 or 25 pounds. What I'm trying to do is keep the walking as inefficient as possible so you continue to gather the benefits of that loaded walking you were getting at 355. I know it's a weird idea, but it's happened before in my experience when someone's gone from a mid 300 weight area. They make great progress and then they stall out at about 275, 280 range, lighter, heavier, doesn't matter. And in hindsight, I'm thinking what happened was, even though they kept the walking, they weren't getting the hit they used to from walking, because now at that lighter body weight, it's just not as taxing. So consider adding a loaded backpack or something to your walks. And it could be pretty simple. I mean, just fill up a big water bottle. I have one downstairs in the weight room that I think it weighs 20 pounds with water in it. And if you get thirsty, drink the water. Tim, that is great news. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us and for updating us throughout this adventure. Thank you. And good luck. James asks a question. I'm wondering if I can have some guidance on how to manage the fat loss happens on Monday exercise progressions. In the book, the workouts are labeled easy, medium, and hard. The difficulty level corresponds to the number of sets in the workout, but the rep range, at least for the metabolic phase, stays the same. My question is, should I increase the difficulty level of the exercise progressions when the sets are lower, even though these workouts are labeled as easy? I'm always a fan of changing the exercises on easy days to get the experience of how changing, if we're doing kettlebells, for example, changing hand positions from bottoms up, which you don't need to do, holding the ball like this, holding, and then normal, from doing both knees on the ground, half kneeling, standing, and then occasionally I'll put my foot on like a small ball, just to mess around with the load, just to experiment with the tension. So yeah, I'm always a fan of gearing up the movement difficulty on easy days, because the load will be light and the reps will be light and you get a chance to practice. For example, today's workout only called for one set of 6 to 12s of each exercise, so my inclination was to go harder on the progressions, but that made the workout less easy. My next workout is labeled hard and calls for 4 sets of 6 to 12 for each exercise. I'll decrease the difficulty level of the progressions to balance out the workload so I'm able to get through the workout. Am I doing this right? James, I absolutely think you're doing this right. In fact, I kind of wish we were here in a workshop or even in the gym setting, because this would be a fun thing to play around with and kind of venture forward down this road of playing with exercise progressions and regressions as part of a full program. No question, if you want a really easy day, you just find the strongest position with light weights with few reps. If you want a hard day, put a lot of load on, do a lot of reps of some difficult exercise. I mean, it seems funny when I say it out loud, but there's playing around with the combination you're discussing really gets me very interested in what you're doing. James, you're doing it great. Keep it up. Thank you. Ben, I get to lead a fitness weightlifting club from 7:30 to 8 a.m. twice a week at my school. So half an hour twice a week. These will be junior high to high school students without much or any lifting experiences. We have a fully equipped gym. We live in a fairly active mountain town, so the kids are generally fit. My goal is to get them strong. I'm thinking of a few sprints, medicine ball tossing, and some floor work for warm-ups, and have the training be basic complexes for the first month. Then moving into 5x5 lifting program. Does this sound reasonable? Well, yeah, I mean, that's reasonable. I mean, I'm looking at this half hour twice a week and going, wow, you're gonna have to be on task, man, to get things done. But I would generally do like the floor work, the medicine ball tossing, just having them play catch, backwards, So over the head, sideways, chest pass, overhead pass. Change the foot positions around a little bit. Keep that simple, and then do the sprints after those two things. So there is a bit of a warm up before they sprint. I love the idea of the complexes, though. If they have no experience at all, you're gonna have to make sure the complexes are the simplest you can make. When we were in about that same age range, the complex we did was the power clean military front squat, and that's the only 3 we did. And I tell you one thing, that doing that's going to take care of a lot of. It's going to do a lot of good. It's going to do a lot of good for the young people. So, yeah, that half hour, that's going to get some work done. Top of my head, don't forget calisthenics, push-ups, and that kind of thing. Teaching them to squat, goblet squats. Every minute you spend just doing the fundamentals of planks, goblet squats, loaded carries, anything like that is going to work well. I have an article online called "The Warm-Up is the Workout," and I kind of go through all these different ideas that we went through. Basically, you put everybody in a big circle with some kind of load, and you walk them through push-ups, dead bugs, mobility, goblet squats. I mean, just a whole host of exercises. I like your heads out here, Ben, and good luck. Get back to us on how that goes. We have a question from Nicholas, which is funny when I read the question, because right now I'm dealing with the exact opposite problem. How do you train in cold weather? It's tough. I live in Utah. It gets cold here. We get a lot of snow. I train in a detached garage, and during the winter it gets awfully cold. Is there anything I should take into consideration as winter approaches? Well, Nicholas, for us, it's funny. You're worried about Christmas already. St. Nicholas. Okay, humor. Yeah, I mean, when I train in the winter, I can still train in short sleeve shirts, because here in Utah, it gets cold, but we don't have the humidity, so it doesn't get through you. But I wear a variety of gloves. In fact, sometimes we have to wear plastic liners under the gloves, and gloves too, because it's just so cold. I always wear sweatpants. We have a problem in the gym with water on the ground from the tires in the cars. My even though it's a phenomenal gym, it's still my garage. One of the things we tend to do more in the winter is stick with the idea: go heavy, go hard, go home, called GH training. Just get in there, get it done. Some exercises become treacherous. You'll notice that you need a lot more time to warm up for the Olympic lifts and the squats. So I've done it with you. All I can really say is, I think there's a magic in training in cold weather. There's something good about it. There's something invigorating. I think it does great things. Wim Hof, with all of his breathing and cold exposures, we do the Wim Hof method here all winter long. It's cold in my gym. We've tried to heat it up with a propane heater and things like that. I found all that to be not only worthless but dangerous. I don't like having fires in my gym. So you got to bundle up, play around with your clothes selections. One thing I did figure out, though, and this isn't bad, is if I keep my hands warm and I keep my legs and feet warm, I don't have to worry about this too much. When we do ruck in the winter, it is a little bit more dangerous because of the ice. But yeah, just GH train. Go heavy, go hard, go home. I break the year up mentally into 4 parts. Fall, back to school time, American football. That's in the fall. It's when I like discipline programs, where I like do this programs in the fall. In the winter, because you just don't know what you're going to get some days, I like go heavy, go hard, go home. Shorter workouts, a little bit more intense. Spring is in the air. Try to get outside more. That's when we start putting the equipment back outside and getting out and doing more and more loaded carries. Summer is playtime, and you really should have some fun in the summer. play catch, play games as much as you can. Get out there and walk. Get out there and ruck. We do the complexes followed by the long walks or rucks in the summer. That's not necessarily something you could do in the winter. You just need too much time to warm up. It's tough, and I get it, Nicholas. So don't be afraid to wear gloves. Don't be afraid to take, wear extra layers if that helps you. And try to make programs that can be done with an eye on the clock, a little bit quicker. Okay? And good luck on this. Thank you, Nicholas. Johnny has a question. How would you structure the year if you want to incorporate both powerlifting and Olympic lifting? I followed your advice, took lessons, and currently am practicing the snatch and clean and jerk. Since loads are light, I would like to lift heavy as well. I'm thinking about switching in blocks between powerlifting and Olympic lifting. Well, really, there's two big ways you can do it. I would recommend the second way, I would say. One is just naturally do like 8 weeks of Olympic lifting, and on week 8, last day, go for a total. And then the following week, go back to powerlifting and do maybe 8 weeks of powerlifting. And on week 8, last day, invent your own powerlifting meet and go for it. I would, though, suggest probably the other option would be to mix the two. There's nothing inherently, the two of them should swim well together. If you snatch and you clean and jerk, what's wrong with back squatting after that workout, and then have another day of the week, or even after that, however you work it out. You didn't tell me how many days a week you're training, but if you were training 3 days a week, let's just say that, and you decide to do something very simple, day 1 snatch, back squat, bench press. Day 2 clean and jerk, deadlift right after, because the bar would just keep going up and load, and then maybe bench press. And on day 3, snatch, clean and jerk, and then, you can either back squat or deadlift depending on which one you want to need. But use the snatch and the clean and jerk as kind of the explosive warm ups, and then follow it up with the power lifts. I think you could have in fact, that one, the idea of that Wednesday where you clean and jerk and then you just add more weight, you deadlift a few sets and then you bench. That actually seems like kind of a fun workout to me. I wouldn't mind doing that. All right, I hope that helps, Johnny. People have been mixing the two of them together forever. Back when I was young, that's how people trained. I got the work of Gary Ordway was one of my first weightlifting, throwing heroes. That's Gary there, and that's the article from Strength and Health magazine. He famously mixed powerlifting and Olympic lifting. He did it on simply a 2-day-a-week schedule, so his workouts were a little bit longer. But it's absolutely possible to mix the two of them. Dave Davis's article in 1974, which really got me down on this road, he basically said if you want to be a thrower, you mix the powerlifts and the Olympic lifts. So that's just standard, the way it is, literally the way we used to train. It might be interesting. I don't know how you would do that, but I have all the old Strength and Health, and sometimes I'll go in there and I'll look at programs from the 60s and 70s and be like, they were so far ahead of us because they didn't think it to death. So yeah, it's pretty easy to do. We have a question from Thomas, and I think I've answered this question in a video. How do you know what you know? Epistemology, but I also have one called resources. But I'm gonna still go back and answer this question anyway. Do you know? This is from Thomas. Do you know of any books you could recommend that details the history of strength training and how it has developed or not these last 100 years or so? Since I've never been involved in organized sports, it would be nice to catch up as much as possible in this area, at least from a general point of view. The Stark Center in Austin, Texas. So the University of Texas has this amazing football facility, and in it is something called the Stark Center. They have They have a quarterly called, I think it's called the Iron Grapevine. I don't know, my wife and I contribute to it. They're very good about detailing the history. There is a book by John Fair, F-A-I-R, it's called Muscletown, which is pretty good. Dave Draper's book, A Glimpse in the Rearview Mirror, gives you the West Coast scene in the 60s and 70s, and really up to today. But for the book you're looking for, off the top of my head, I don't know if it exists. I have enough resources here that if you came by the house, we could cobble it together for you. There are some nice little videos online. I don't know where Chip Conrad, his gym is called Body Tribe, but he had a really good series of videos you could watch that detail the history, like the Olympic lifts. And boy, they are not what you think. It was much different. All the lifters would get together at the Olympics and decide on what lifts to do, which I found amazing. I have Hackenschmidt's book. I have hundreds of magazines and books, but I don't know of a single resource like you're talking about. I have some of Willoughby's old books. That they did a pretty good job. Some of the British books take you up into the mid-1960s, but then they kind of stop there. But I don't know if I have a single resource for you, but I tell you, I have 1,000 for you. Not a great answer for me, Thomas, but as you can imagine, a book like this would be a lot of fun for me to read. I'm just not so sure how many people would scramble up and pay for the shipping and handling and the book. So it's a good question. Be sure to check my resources video on YouTube, and I go through a lot of books that might help you on this. If you want to have a follow-up question on this, anything specific, we could probably dive into that a little bit too. But try those video resources online, and good luck on your search for history. I'm always impressed when people do that. All right, thank you. Well, that's it for today, folks. Once again, if you have questions, email them to podcast@danjohnuniversity.com. I'll do my best to answer every question. We are beginning to notice that there is quite a bit of repetition in some of the questions. So if I don't answer your question, be sure to check the archives. It might have been answered already. Brian does a nice job highlighting what the topics are. So thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.